freaking scared of this. And you know what popped up? I was so scared of it because I was so scared to fail if I just quit my job and had no backup plan. I was so scared to burn through my savings.
Isn't it funny how life works? How the universe just aligns exactly perfectly and exactly how it's supposed to, even
job. I've networked with barely anybody responding back to me. I've interviewed, got to multiple last rounds. Always got the same feedback that they went with somebody with more experience, but I was a great candidate. I've applied to over 1,000 jobs.
Watch me go quit my full-time job with no plan, just faith in God.
It's been insane. I've spent the past 45 days just traveling and like kind of focusing on my mental health. I do not come from money, so the savings is draining real quick, especially with the rent and all the other bills and car payment, but it has been super nice for this.
Where to start here? The first thing is you shouldn't be allowed to post a video on TikTok saying you quit your job without a backup plan, without first, like in the video requirements, stating where you expect next month's rent to come from. I think we can all agree on that. Even if you haven't checked your bank account very much lately, you would still have a good sense of how many months of unemployment you can afford. The people who are truly quitting their job without a backup plan have no idea where next month's rent is going to come from, and they are gambling with couch surfing or being overdue. And that's a lot less glamorous. I love idealism and I love inspiration, but I don't like pitching pipe dreams. Having privilege is jumping off the ship with a life jacket and then telling everyone else who doesn't have one that the water is fine. So it's really important to split up this big group of people into categories of privilege to truly understand whether quitting your job without a backup plan is something that is worth for you to do.
I just quit my job, and to many people this sounds impulsive because I don't have another job lined up, but I've actually been thinking about this for months and secretly like preparing. Though I wasn't like necessarily actively like applying to jobs intensely, I was doing other things to prepare. And I just have to say, the network is networking. Since even posting like 3 hours ago that I quit my job, I've had multiple people reach out to me and be like, how can I help? Thinking about quitting your job, I like do it, go for it, jump through that hoop. But think about it before. There are things to do. You can impulsively quit your job, but prepare for it.
Love the honesty. Even though this woman quit without a job lined up, she's very clear about the pre-work that she did that enabled her to jump ship. She had worked on her resume and networking and building up skills that would make her marketable and employable in her next career. This guy quit without a backup plan.
You want advice on how to leave your crazy boss when you don't have your next job lined up? Honestly, I am not sure I'm the guy to ask. I had nothing lined up. And honestly, this happened 3 jobs in a row. The first time happened when I worked at a tech company. I had been poached by another department on a bunch of promises, and after 3 months, I realized that they weren't going to follow through on any of them. So I confronted my manager about it, and she gave me a very political answer. So I quit, spent 2 days on the job hunt, and I was fully employed a week later at my first remote job. CEO was crazy. I wouldn't hear from him for weeks or even a couple months at a time. So I reached out to my network and found another remote job where my buddy was working. I worked at that company for a year, but the last straw for me there was that the CEO didn't understand even what they hired me to do. I decided I had enough. That's what made me quit, and I started freelancing after that.
Of his own accord, he is saying that those weren't great experiences. Whether or not this applies to this man specifically, the truth of the matter is the closer you are to next month's mortgage date or rent bill due date, the emptier your fridge is, the less negotiating power that you have in any job. If you had jumped from a safer place, maybe you would have negotiated better conditions or at least better monetary compensation. So that's not a great thing to convince other people to do.
Quitting your job with no backup plan is the best decision you can ever make. Let me know if this sounds like you. You're in your 20s, you have dreams of starting a business, traveling the world, backpacking around Europe, but you have a job that you don't really like, but it pays you pretty well, you're comfortable, you're living at home, you have no bills, and you're just sitting in place. That situation sounds similar. You have to go all in, burn the boats, quit your job tomorrow, no backup plan, put in your 2 weeks and go for it. Start the business, take the trip. The worst thing that can happen is you have to find a new job that pays you the same salary. Because guess what? That job that you just quit is hiring your replacement tomorrow with no remorse.
Not in this economy. There is a philosophy espoused by Amazonians, that is workers of the company Amazon, about one-way and two-way doors. And the idea is if you're going through a one-way door, you have to think a lot more thoroughly about your decision rather than a two-way door, which is a reversible decision that you can act more quickly on. Quitting your job is more often than not a one-way door because it breaks a lot of credibility that you might have built up with your employer. Even if you come back with your tail between your legs, even if they take you, they now know that you are a flight risk and they might not invest the same resources in you because they know you'll leave for better pay or better conditions. You were on your way out just before. Even worse, in this economy, your job might actually disappear and your work get absorbed by other functions. You might not have a job to come back to. Are you prepared to explain a resume gap? Are you prepared to be unemployed for 3, 6, 9, 12 months and more?
I got a call and I got the job. And it is so perfect for me. It aligns with my beliefs, my values, my schedule, everything. And it's a small nonprofit. It's exactly what I've been looking for.
Hey, but these people found jobs. They found their dream jobs. Maybe I just need a fresh start. Maybe I need time to focus on my priorities and my mental health and all the things that I haven't had time to prioritize. That's totally valid. But have you considered taking a leave of absence? Take a break, which will likely be unpaid anyway. And in many ways, it'll give you the idea of what the real thing is. Sure, the stakes are lower because you don't have the same fire under your butt, but at least you'll be able to scope out the job market, send out your resume and see how many responses you get back. Review your monthly spending to understand how affordable it will be once you don't have a regular income.
Taking calculated risk can lead to growth and fulfillment, but impulsive choices can have lasting consequences.
So we've talked about money and talked about being impulsive, but the third issue is, quote, participating in capitalism. Insert thread about how retirees live longer if they actually participate in other kinds of work. We might hate getting up early and driving to work, and we might not be exceptionally passionate about the work that we are doing, but that does not mean that we are not getting benefits from our participation in that work. One is we might be doing it for the paycheck. The paycheck is what enables you to then have the experiences that you truly care about, such as raising a family, living in a house, going on vacation. But even if it's not about the paycheck, you can improve your skills and you can be proud of your work and for the attitude and the best foot forward that you put forth, because it is very motivating and meaningful. At the same time, we really do need to step off of that treadmill sometimes to understand what we are working towards and whether we are working towards things that we actually care about and supporting a standard of living that doesn't actually bring us happiness. There are some great videos out there about how consumerism is being fueled by the lack of community and friendship interactions that a lot of us get during the pandemic. We as humans are incredibly social animals, and leaving your job might not fix problems of loneliness, isolation, and despair that you have whether or not you have that job.
I have quit my job 2 times in the past 3 years. Both times I didn't necessarily have a plan. I was so full of life and hope. Okay, the first thing is it's hard to hear, but you still have to find a way to be happy. At least for me, when I was about to quit my job, I thought quitting my job would complete me. I thought it would fix everything. I wouldn't have to deal with negative emotion anymore because I attributed, oh my God, work being annoying and not having enough boundaries and not really liking what I do. I attributed that all to my company, when in reality, when I quit my job, I still had to deal with that. Because I developed an unhealthy relationship with work and because I was doing something I didn't enjoy, I had no basis of a routine. I had no idea what I liked, what I truly wanted to do. Basically, the job was not the root cause of my unhappiness. When I look back, I really think it was like not understanding my values and not picking things in my life that matched them.
What about the part where these people report finding really cool jobs, like their dream jobs? Very manifestation girly, the universe will provide and give you exactly what you wanted. 2 things on this, but the first thing that I'll say is that leaving your job might be the craziest thing you've done in a while. As we get older, we tend to be risk averse, so we might literally feel like the universe will stop. It is going to be earth shattering. And the moment we quit our jobs, we realize that it's exactly the same. Your heart doesn't stop beating and your life does go on. So one one is you will find a second chapter of whatever that entails. But the second part is, if you are leaving a toxic environment in the first place, then chances are the next place that you go into will have a new set of people, responsibilities, and experiences that might be better off than your previous job. And when you don't have a lot of options and the previous option was pretty horrible, then whatever you've lined up for yourself just gets rosier and rosier, especially when it fulfills a decent amount of your criteria. Which is awesome. You should be excited about your next opportunity and your next job. It's a fresh start, and it doesn't guarantee happiness, but it guarantees something different from what you had before.
I have been unemployed for what's about to be 6 months, and my unemployment is about to run out. At this point, I'm just trying to really understand what is it that the job market is looking for. They say they want years of experience, but they won't give you a chance. Or you network with people, and that really doesn't get you anywhere. You have the qualifications and the degrees, but still no bites. I've applied to over like 500 jobs, and I've either been rejected by them quickly with an email, or I just don't get a response at all. Or I've gone on 3+ interviews, and then they tell you that they've gone with another candidate. And it really starts to make you question yourself as a person, like, is it me? Am I not qualified enough? LinkedIn doesn't work. Indeed doesn't work. And I mean, I'm not giving up because I'm still trying. I'm just not sure what else is gonna work. I just would like a job.
If you've been unemployed for a while, maybe you haven't manifested enough. As an overall concept, I have no issues with manifestation, but I will just ask you to consider that the universe's timeline might be different in recessionary versus booming economies. And the fact is, inflation is wearing away the purchasing power of our dollar every single day. So when you see people do "I've quit without a backup plan," just take a quick minute to spot check when did they do this, what country they're in, and also what privileges they had to fall back on. The universe might provide in 3 months, or it might provide in 9 months and more. And that is definitely something to consider. So when you are searching "I quit my job without a plan," I would recommend taking 1 minute to also search "I was laid off unexpectedly," and where those people are now.
I was on LinkedIn today and I could see the layoffs are still happening, and man, it brought back a lot of shitty memories.
Tech has been considered a pretty safe industry for job security, but it doesn't look like the case because right now a lot of companies are laying off between 10 to 50% of their workforce.
Your position on the web support team will be eliminated effective today. Please understand that this is a business decision to eliminate this role and your role specifically, as it reflects the change and the need for this service that Microsoft will be providing.
Having a job, having access to a monthly paycheck and healthcare and workplaces to show up and be a better self and learn new skills, those are all amazing privileges in this capitalist economy. Many people are deprived of those due to the latest layoffs and economic conditions. It's not so easy. No matter what your gender, if you are a manifestation girly, don't let people fool you with idealism and continue to make the calculated risks to define your next decisions.